Hey everybody, and welcome back. Today we are going to take a look at the difference between a darce and an anaconda choke. Now, the difference between the two, at least in terms of recognizing it, I understand that the details that lead up to the finish for the two are very different. Kind of similar, not that they don't have similarities, but there's obviously a lot of nuance anytime you start breaking down the differences between two techniques, right? But I'm just going to give you guys an easy way to differentiate, because spotting the difference between an anaconda and a darce is not that hard. We're going to use Makwan Amirkhani as the example for the anaconda. I think he's got one of the best setups in the UFC for it. And for the darce, we're going to use Tony Ferguson because he's probably the most famous implementer of that choke in UFC history. All right, so you can see here that Amirkhani has a hook in on Danny Henry here, but what's really going to happen is Danny Henry's going to start to turn towards Amirkhani. See how he turns towards him? As he does that, Amirkhani is going to weave his right arm, see that, over top of the head of Danny Henry, similar to a guillotine grip. Right? And this is really the only difference between a darce and an anaconda is the entry with your choking hand. With an anaconda, you're going over top of the head first and then locking up behind a shoulder. See how he secures the grip behind a shoulder? But his choking arm goes over the head first. And also with an anaconda, you're typically going to fall to the side of your choking arm. See how he falls to the side of his choking arm? I'll let this play through a little bit. And you guys can just see the side that he had wrapped around Danny Henry's head is on the ground. He's going to look to secure this kind of like rear naked choke grip, which is very similar between the two as well. See how he locks that up? But see how the grip is over top of the shoulder of Danny Henry? All right. Now we're going to move on to Tony Ferguson and look at him setting up the darce, right? He's going to start from a guillotine here. And instead of going over top, see how he, instead of going over top of the head first, all Tony Ferguson's going to do is weave over top of the left-hand shoulder of Lando Vannata with his right arm first, see? And secures the grip that way. Tony Ferguson already has the rear naked choke grip locked up on the feet here, so he's just going to snap Vannata down. And instead of falling to the same side that he has the choking hand established, he's going to snap him down the opposite way. See how Tony Ferguson's choking arm is on top here, and the arm that's kind of securing that rear naked choke grip, the hand that he's hiding is on the ground? That's really the only difference, guys. When you're looking at these two chokes, one is head first and one is shoulder first with the choking arm. That's really it. I mean, it's not that difficult to spot the difference between the two, and like I said, once you see it, it's super easy to recognize. I'll let this play through just so you guys can see some of the details. I'm not going to walk you through everything, right? But you can just see that Tony Ferguson's getting his hips away, squaring back up, tightening everything up. And Vannata's trying to push his hips away, but Tony's already he's gotten his hips flattened back down to the ground. He's not on a side here, and he's going to get a really tight finish here. But again, just notice how this arm right here is draped over top of the shoulder and then the head. If this was an anaconda, this arm would come over the head first and then wrap around the shoulder. So again, not that difficult, and just something I wanted to point out because, like I said, it can be confusing when you're watching it. They're both arm triangles. They look similar, but really easy to spot the difference. Thank you, guys.